Alrighty then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome! My name's Michael, I'm the DAG Gamer, and welcome to DAG Reads, where we read books, because that's what you do when you read. You read stuff. That's kind of what's on the box, right? Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. It's so good to see so many wonderful and amazing people. Hello! I can see already we have a Schoolie Eye in chat, as well as a Mythical Turian. Kethra Moonsea, good to see you. Hester in the house, as well as Creative Garden. And Tony, good to see you guys. What is up, guys? I love this energy. This is so good. Hey, Dag, hey, what's up? It's so good to see you all. I'm in such a good mood, and I'm going to pass that on today into today's reading because I don't know, just there's no reason for a good mood. But does there need to be a reason to be in a good mood? I'm just in a good mood because I get to do the thing I love, and I just hang out with you guys right here, these people, you know, it's so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the holiday season. If we haven't had a chance to catch up, if we have caught up, I hope your week's been well. We are going to be starting the newest book in the Emily Rodas series, which is going to take us into the second to last book, which is very weird because hold on, let me just check to make sure I'm not feeding you lies here. Let's see, we've done Rowan of Rin, we've done Rowan and the Travelers, we've done Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystals. Yeah, so this is the fourth book in the series, right? And we're on page like 190 something. So, I mean, these are probably, like, if you have a look here, right? So this is what we've read. This is what we've got to go. And this is 2 books. This is 3 books. So clearly more stuff was known for the ending one. So I'm actually really excited because, you know, they're going to be a little bit longer chapters, I think, and longer bits. Because we're going to get into the height of all the cool dramas of this world that we've been creating. Hey, Lifeguard Leroy. Nice to see you. Welcome in. So, this book, Rowan and the Zebak. Finally, we're going to actually learn a little bit more about one of the greatest enemies in this series so far. Right now, all we know about them is one of the Traveler Forerunners. She, whatever her name was, which always escapes me. Let's see, Rowan and the Travelers, here we go. Her name was Zeal. So Zeal, one of the Forerunners of the Travelers, she is an adopted child who originally was a Zebak. We don't know anything about that beyond that, but she is a Traveler. She identifies as a Traveler. She was raised by them, so she's a Traveler. We've also met the camera text is mirrored. Is it mirrored? It's not mirrored on mine. Let me know if it is mirrored. Please let me know if all of the stuff is mirrored, because that is no bueno. That's not what I want. Why would it be mirrored? Ponder. Let's have a look on my Twitch. It's showing up as all good on my end. Could I have someone in chat confirm, please? On the face cam. Oh, my face. Oh, so my face has been mirrored. Yes, but that's because when I look at you guys, I want to look like here, right? I want to look like towards the emptiness of the screen. I mean, it's kind of weird if I'm talking like off screen like here. Although it does kind of look like I'm talking to chat, the chat boxes here. But this is empty space. I mean, what would you prefer? Do you prefer me talking to this? Or would you prefer me talking to here? What do you prefer? Here or here? Let me know. I'll do it. I'll flip it. Cost me nothing. Miss Dagreeds. Oh, I missed you guys too. Yay. What else? So yeah, so the Zebak. So the Zebak are, facecam is mirrored though. Thanks, Tony. Just an FYI. Jeez, these guys, I missed you guys. You guys are fun. You bastards. Alright, cool. No, that's fine. Just let me know what you'd prefer. If you prefer this way or whatever. Just, yeah. Anyway. So, Rowan and the Zebak. So yeah, we're going to be learning about this new bad guy. Oh, I say new bad guy. This bad guy that's been there since the beginning, which I'm very, very keen to do. And, honestly, I don't know what to expect. They've been given the impression that they are originally kind of like this Viking barbarian conquering kind of kingdom, I guess. And, that they have been learning to become more tactically aware and stuff like that. So, I don't know what that's going to mean. Could mean nothing, could mean everything, but you know, we'll find out, I guess, as time and the story goes on. Now, as always, guys, we are doing this because we love hanging out with you guys and we just want to chill. So if you have any questions or things you want to ask, not only about the book, but also about life, love, RPGs in general, feel free to throw them out in chat as well. In addition, there is no incentive or no rewards for this stream. It's just a really good way for you guys to earn channel points. But if you do wish to donate, boom, look at it. All the donations, as we've said, are super appreciated, and they all go towards my trip to the US. Right now, we are saving up to do a cosplay, build a cosplay costume for Convergence. So that I'm very, very excited to do. Once we hit that threshold, I will try. I can't promise anything. I will try to be doing some streams in regards to designing the costume and stuff like that. So there'll be maybe some cosplay streams and things like that, and all this other cool stuff. So yeah, lots of things I'm saving up for. Also, fun fact, I had a chat with some people, so my yearly planner is kind of coming together very slowly. I'm going to be taking 2 trips to the US, possibly a trip to Melbourne this year, and then next year, fingers crossed, I will be heading to the UK and doing some stuff over in Europe next year. So again, fingers crossed for that. So yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Mythical Turian, for the $10 donation. It is so appreciated. Mwah. Love your face. Love your face. Okay, let's say we read a book. You want to read a book? Let's read a book. Okay. Before we start, though, do be sure to get yourself something nice and cozy, whether it's a hot chocolate or a preferred snack, because I feel like the reading streams always go really well with like good snacks and drinks and whatnot. All right. Rowan and the Zebak. Chapter 1. The Warning. The Gratch flew west, following the scent. It had flown for some time, and it was tired and hungry. But it did not think of feeding or stopping to rest. There was no thought at all behind its flat yellow eyes, just one fixed idea: to follow the scent, reach the place it had been told to reach, and take back to its masters what it had been told to take. The Gratch was called Bara, and it was 120 years old. It had been trained well. Not kindly, perhaps, but cleverly, and for many, many years, the idea now Not kindly, perhaps, but cleverly, and for many, many years. The idea that now, far away from the whips and shouts of its master, it had the freedom to choose what it did, never entered its mind. The sea had been left behind long ago, and dimly the Gratch was aware that below it now were rolling green hills and winding streams glinting behind the sunlight. It was aware that a mountain, its peak hidden in clouds, rose in the blue distance ahead. But its eyes were not important now. Its ears, closed against the rushing of the wind and the beating of its own wings, were not important either. All that was important was its forked tongue, flicking in and out, tasting the air, tasting the scent. It knew it was close to its goal. The scent was stronger, the warm animal scent that made its jaws drip with hunger. Buksha. It even knew the name. Buksha, its master had said so many times, flourishing the gray, woolly hide in front of its face, feeding it bloody pieces of meat so that the delicious taste mingled with the hide smell. When they had sent it away on the quest, they had said it again, Buksha, seek. And they had loosed its chain. The Buksha scent was strong, but there were other scents too. Some the Gratch had tasted before, one it had not. The one it had not tasted was full of danger. It was fire, snow, and ice. It was hot breath, dripping fangs, and an ancient, jealous power. The leathery spines on the Gratch's back prickled with warning, but its yellow lizard eyes did not flicker, and the beating of its scaled, mottled wings didn't falter as it flew on, onward to Rin. All right. So I'm getting kind of this picture of the Grach, as it were, of like kind of like a flying winged lizard. I mean, I don't want to say a dragon, but isn't that a dragon? Because it's got It's got a forked tongue. It has, let's see, has, you know, like jaws, obviously, so like a more, I imagine. It had ears that were able to close, so I kind of imagine like almost like ears that could fold downwards almost. So that's kind of like almost like the bat ears. And it mentioned that there was good senses of hearing, but it's protected, so that's kind of what I imagine. It doesn't say the wings are leather, though, you know, or that it is scaly. It might not even be scaly. I think they could have described this creature a little bit better. But whatever it is, whatever this creature happens to be, I would choose to imagine somewhere between a cross between a lizard and a bat. Maybe a snakish head? Maybe. Interesting. Whatever this creature is, it's bad news because it is hunting Bookshaw. Rowan scanned the blue sky above the village. It was still clear except for the cloud that always shrouded the tip of the foreboding mountain. Yet, surely, a summer storm was brewing. How else could he explain this strange, nagging feeling that something unexpected and fearful was about to happen? The sense of dread had begun at mid-morning and had grown stronger every moment since. It's nothing, he told himself firmly. He fought away the fear and did not speak of it to Jilla, his mother. Why worry her needlessly, today of all days? Today, Jilla should be as light-hearted as his little sister Anad, who was already dancing around the cottage garden, thinking herself very fine in her new pink dress. She should be as plainly joyful as Strong John, even now coming through the gate, swinging Anad into his arms and striding towards the house, splendid in his wedding finery. Rowan made himself wave at John, shouting a greeting, and when the dark, fearful feeling stabbed at him yet again, he forced it down. Yay! Okay, so that's cute. That's amazing. I'm so happy for them. Yay! Strong John's marrying Jiller. That's awesome. Rowan has a stepdad, and Jiller has a new husband. Ah, man, what could go wrong? That's all the good stuff is happening now. Isn't that amazing, everyone? Isn't that good? Let's just stop reading right now. There we go. I'll put the book down. We're done. Yep, they're getting married. How good was that book? Amazing book. Oh my god. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. Absolutely nothing interrupted the ceremony, and they lived happily ever after the end. You're not buying it? Yeah, me neither. God damn it. Me neither. Okay, let's keep going. The hard-working people of Rin did not often lay aside their everyday cares for festivals and holidays. But even in Rin, a wedding was cause for joyous celebration. And this wedding, the marriage of Strong John of the Orchard to Jilla of the Field, was a greater occasion than most. John and Jilla were well loved, and Jilla's son Rowan of the Bookshaw was Rin's greatest hero, even if its most unlikely one. Shy, dreamy, and timid though he was, he had conquered the Forbidden Mountain and faced the dragon which reigned at its peak. He had allied himself with the wandering travelers to save Rin from a terrible fate, and it was whispered that he was joined to the fish-like Maris people on the coast by a strange bond with their mysterious leader, the Keeper of the Crystal. Once the most disappointing child in the village, Rowan was now respected. No one teased or criticized him these days. No one told him he was too old to be the keeper of the gentle Bookshaw. He was even feared by some who thought he had unnatural powers. Such people stopped speaking when Rowan came into storehouses or passed by a meeting place, and warned their children not to annoy him. When a black Bookshaw calf was born in spring, black instead of the usual soft greys, such people whispered that it was an omen, a sign of Rowan's growing power. If anyone had told them that Rowan wanted nothing more than to be accepted as one of them, that this was all he had ever wanted, they would have laughed. It was largely because of Rowan that this marriage was more than a simple village celebration. Yesterday, 3 great traveler kites, Their riders dangling beneath them had appeared in the sky above the valley. Since then, the tribe had always followed them and made camp on the hill, ready to join the party to make music. Pelaine of Pendalis had come from Maris to represent his people, bringing gifts. He had left the sea and the salt spray of his home gladly, though his Maris skin dried and cracked quickly inland, and the journey had not been comfortable for him. This day was important enough to tempt the stolid millers, Val and Ellis, from their mill. It had even caused the gruff, solitary Broden, the furniture maker, to shut her workshed for a day. No one wanted to miss the celebration or fail to pay their respects. So at noon, when Gilla and John walked with Rowan and Anad to the great tree above the Bookshaw field, a crowd was waiting. Only Sheba, the village wise woman, had kept away and stayed crouching alone in her hut behind the orchard. No one was surprised at that. Everyone was secretly glad. For Sheba, thoughts, those sought out by many in times of sickness and danger, would have been uncomfortable by wedding guests. As he entered the tree's welcome shade, Rowan was only half aware of Anad's dancing, excitedly behind him, of John and Gilla walking ahead, and the crowd staring. The feeling of dread growing stronger, clouding his mind, darkening his thoughts, making him silent and watchful. He gritted his teeth to try and make sure that the darkness did not show. Everyone in Rin is happy, ready to celebrate, he told himself. Why should I be any different? You have always been different, a voice in the back of his mind had said. And now, more than ever. Angrily, he pushed the voice away. He turned his head and caught sight of Ogden, the storyteller, leader of the travelers, standing with his adopted daughter Zeal and the rest of the tribe on one side of the crowd. Beside the people of Rin, sober even when dressed in their best, the travelers looked as bright as birds in their vivid silks, long curling hair, threaded with ribbons and beads and feathers. But with a stab of fear, Rowan saw that their faces were watchful. They were standing very still, as though every muscle in their lean brown bodies were poised for flight, and Ogden's deep-set eyes were grave. John and Gilla noticed nothing. They smiled and bowed to the travelers, and Ogden bowed in return, but his dark gaze looked beyond them to Rowan, and in his eyes was a question, and Rowan knew what it was. Something is wrong in this land. We feel it. And you feel it too. I can see that you do. What is it? Rowan shook his head slightly. I do not know. Ogden's eyes flicked to the front of the crowd, where Pelaine the Marisman stood with Alun the baker and Marley the weaver, John and Gilla's great friends. Marley and Alun were smiling, handing flowers to Gilla, while Pelaine, small and glistening in his closely fitting blue garments, stood stiffly, his webbed hands pressed tightly to his side. The hood that helped protect him from the drying sun had been pushed back as a sign of respect, so Rowan could see that his flat, glassy eyes were fixed and staring. Pelaine was afraid. But what was there to be afraid of here, under this green shade in this protected valley? There is danger, Rowan. Danger in the land. The message suddenly rang clear in Rowan's mind. It was the keeper of the crystal in Maris, warning him as he had warned Pelaine, but already John and Gilla were standing before Old Lan, and the ceremony had begun. I cannot say anything now, Rowan thought desperately. Even if I try, no one will listen. However much they say I'm a hero, they will think I'm trying to stop the marriage. Mother and John will think so too. I cannot do it. There was a time when he hated the thought that John might take the place of Stefan, his father, but now he knew no one would ever take Stefan's place. In Gilla's heart or in his, it was just that hearts were big enough to accept more loves than one, and strong John of the Orchard, his father's friend, was now his friend too. He had never said this to Gilla or John. In Rin, it was thought a sign of weakness to discuss feelings openly. Only by appearing happily at this wedding could Rowan show how glad he was that it was taking place. there was someone else to consider as well. Rowan glanced over at his little sister, standing wide-eyed beside him. Anna had never known their father, who had died when she was just a baby. She adored John. She looked forward to this day so much. She had loved the idea of dressing up and parading in front of the village. I cannot do it, he thought again. I cannot break this moment. Pelaine and Ogden are content to wait, so I will be content also. What harm could there be in waiting just a little? Bitterly, bitterly in the days to follow, did Rowan wish that he had decided differently. Ah, boo! God damn it! I knew we should stop rating. Told you guys. Told you guys! Happy marriage! Let them be happy, goddammit. Alright. Gohan Williams, welcome in. Nice to see you. First time chatter. My name is Michael. Nice to meet you. How did I die? Well, I will tell you a funny story just to kind of cleanse my palate of the disappointment I have coming up. I originally started the Dead Aussie Gamer name back when I wanted to become a video game streamer. This was around the time of Tobuscus and Markiplier's rise and stuff like that, and I wanted to get into live streaming video games. I didn't at the time because I realized I get super focused when I video game, and I'm boring as hell to watch, so I didn't do it. But the reason I called myself the Dead Aussie Gamer was literally my lag and my latency back then was so terrible, I died all the time. I was always constantly dead. So anytime someone would refer to me, they would always refer to me as the Aussie guy, and then eventually it's the Dead Aussie guy, and then eventually it became the Dead Aussie Gamer, and that was the origin of that. Sorry, I had to let my cat out. She was just sitting there, chilling out. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, so that's it. How did I die? I died so many times, but I have always been mortally challenged. I play games for a living and I stream on Twitch. And as far as I'm concerned, how do you kill that which has no life? There you go. Which that excuse. I'm not dead yet. I'm getting better. Nice. Hey, Mr. Live Producer. Good to see you, man. How are you? I hope your streams are going really, really well. I still haven't afforded a VR rig. So I haven't done any VR stuff. I'd love to do like VR D&D, but you know, with all my travel and with all the stuff and with me being broke as heck, VR D&D is a little bit out of my budget. But you know, who knows? Maybe I'll make it big. I'll find like some really good like VR sponsors, and then I'll drag the boys into like a virtual D&D game. That'd be kind of fun. Which would be kind of weird, kind of cool, but fine. Radiant damage. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. Radiant damage. All right. On the back burner while I'm working on an NDA project for NDA. Oh, that's cool. That's very exciting. I love that. I love NDAs. NDAs are amazing. We don't talk about NDAs, but we love them. But that's very exciting. I don't have any NDAs going. I'm hopefully going to pick up some work and do some stuff, but we'll find out soon enough. I mean, yeah, if I get accepted for years. It's basically some voice acting work, and I'll let you guys know all about it. It's actually from this show. Actually, it's because I was doing a reading thing, whatever it's called. They want me to do some audiobooks and stuff. So, because they saw this stream and they were like, "Hey, we want you to read some books," and I'm like, that sounds fun. So you might actually have me on an audiobook at some point, which is very weird. Adam has VR and so does Ben. Yes. Oh my god, I saw Adam get that VR thing. Jesus Christ. But yes, I would absolutely play with them again. Again, VA is something I'm looking to doing this year. Nice. Whew. All right. Palate cleansed. Let's I have way too many VRs. Yeah, I don't have that problem. Mr. Live Producer, I don't have that problem. It's not a problem I have. I don't have too many VRs. I have none. I have absolutely none. All right. Palate cleansed. So I'm so happy as a storyteller because this is perfect. They have seeded so much into Rowan's mother and Strong John's relationship from the first book where we got to meet Strong John, who was trying to support and look after Rowan, to the second book where the travelers came in and John and Jilla were starting to really get into their own thing, and when they fell victim to the sleeping sickness, we were kind of cut. That was Rowan's family that was sick. And then in the Keeper of the Crystal, when Jilla got poisoned and Strong John was looking after her, you know, this has been building up, and now it's the wedding, it's the moment, and doom. Fucking doom. Mother flippin' doom. Man. Alright. How are you guys? Are you guys okay? I mean, let's do a vibe check. I hope you guys are good. We're gonna keep reading, because we can't give up. It's always Rowan that needs someone to take care of them. It's always a Rowan. You know what? You're not entirely wrong. I actually don't know a single Rowan that isn't someone who needs some extra attention. Also, Dark Mondius, it is so good to see you. Welcome in, buddy. Take a seat. Please enjoy. We do take breaks during the chapter breaks to chat and stuff like that, so do feel free to ask questions and stuff. If you don't know who I am, my name's Mark, I'm DAG Gamer. I do TTRPGs for the most part, and on occasion we read, because reading helps us storytell, so yeah, there you go. So if you have any questions about Dungeons & Dragons, tabletop role-playing, don't ask me about the OGL, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a huge thing. A whole video could be made about it, and I'm not going to make that video because they already exist. The short of it is, it's a dumb idea, and if Wizards go through with it, they're a dumb company doing dumb things. But, you know, that's just me. Alright, there you go. For the Terran Empire. Okay. Whew. Chapter 2. I'm not going to read the title of the chapter because it's filling me with sadness. Okay. Chapter 2. There was silence under the great tree as John and Jilla made their final vows. Then as Lan pronounced them husband and wife, there was a loud burst of clapping and cheering and congratulations. The Rin adults clustered around and took John and Jilla off to the feast that had been set up nearby, courteously making sure that Pelaine and the travelers were swept along with the tide. Anad leapt to join her friends as though spring had been released inside of her. Rowan stayed where he was, watching. John and Jilla sat down at the head of the main feasting table, laughing and talking. All the tables were loaded with the best the village could provide. Platters were piled high with fruits and salads, vegetables, and the best Bookshire cheese, the softest bread rolls that Alan and his mother, Sarah, could fashion, and toffees, jellies, and cakes of every kind from Solar the sweet maker. Great cool jugs of hoopberry juice and slip daisy wine stood there and here. The traveler music then began. Ogden must have decided that it was best to continue with the festivities as though nothing was wrong. Rowan leant against the smooth trunk of the great tree, trying to order his thoughts. Sunlight sparked through the trees, flecking the ground with spots of gold. Under the green canopy, the people of Rin had married, named their children, and farewelled their dead since they had first arrived in this valley 300 years ago. The tree had been large then, and now it was giant. "Rowan, look!" Anad's piercing voice rose above the music and talks of the adults, and the giggle of her friends. Rowan glanced around. Anad was standing by the fence, looking down at the Bookshire field. She beckoned him excitingly. "Come and see!" she called. He walked down to join her. Her friends grew silent and moved back shyly as he approached, but Anad ran to him and seized his arm, pulling him towards the fence. "They're dancing!" She laughed and pointed. Rowan caught his breath in surprise. The humped great beasts had arranged themselves side by side, shoulder to shoulder in a tight circle, their heavy heads all facing outwards, their bodies pressed together so close that their manes seemed joined. Many were pawing at the ground, and at first glance it really did look like they were doing some sort of dance. Anad was jumping up and down. "Oh, Rowan, come on!" she squealed, tugging at his arm. "Come down and see them with me!" "No, Anad," Rowan smiled. Much as he would like to have left the gathering for the Bookshire fields, he knew that it would seem odd and impolite if he did. I'm gonna take a quick pause there. Please tell me other people know exactly what that means when a herd animal does that. They create a circle, they start pouring at the ground. Because I've watched enough nature documentaries to know what's going on. Yep. Anna exclaimed impatiently and pulled her hand away from his. She shook off her shoes and, heedless of her fine clothes, clambered through the fence and began to run across the fields beyond. Anad, called Rowan, but the little girl took no notice. She smiled and shook his head as he watched her jump the stream and run towards the bookshop, calling to Star, their leader. Her hair flew like spun gold around her neck. Her pink dress billowed in the faint breeze. She looked like a huge butterfly fluttering across the grass. Rowan expected the bookshop to break out of their strained formation when Anad disturbed them, but to his surprise, there was no movement at all from the herd. They stood like rocks, their noses turned upwards, sniffing the air. Rowan stared in puzzlement, and then something struck him. Where were the young bookshop? The calves that had been born in the spring. He could not see them anywhere. Even the black one, the smallest of all, was missing. Anad was dancing towards Star now, chattering to her, stretching out her hand, and Rowan jumped back with shock as Star rumbled warningly and roughly jerked her head upward, pushing Anad away. Star was always so gentle. The smallest child in Rin could lead her. She loved Anad almost as much as she loved Rowan, and yet she seemed to be trying to keep Anad away from the herd. Rowan frowned, gripping the fence. Or was Star trying to make Anad run back to where she had come from? To shelter? To safety? Anad! He called urgently, but his voice was drowned out by the music and laughter and the feasting tables. Anad did not hear. He saw her hesitate for a moment, then take a step forward and once again stretch out her hand. This time the jerk of Star's head was hard enough to send her tumbling to the grass. The huge beasts on Star's left and right pawed at the ground, but did not leave their place. They will not break the circle, though, Rowan. They will not break the circle, thought Rowan, and suddenly he understood why. The calves were inside, enclosed and hidden by a wall of strong adult bodies. A terrible fear gripped him. He scrambled awkwardly through the fence and started to run towards the stream. Anad! He shouted. Anad, beware! But it was already too late. What happened next took only moments. But afterwards, to the end of his life, Rowan would always remember it as though it had taken long, long minutes. He was running, his chest aching with breathless fear. He could not run fast enough. He saw Anad turning towards him as she clambered to her feet, brushing at her dress. He saw her pink, annoyed face, her spun golden hair, suddenly darkened by a rushing shadow blocking the sun. He heard a terrible, wakening roar from the peak of the mountain, and an answering, defiant, rasping hiss from the sky above. He heard the rush of wings, the bellowing of the bookshot as huge shape plummeted down towards them. A creature, mottled green, yellow and gray, spiked and hideous, with 3 lashing tails. He heard this own cry of warning, and Anad's high-pitched scream as she realized her danger, and began to run, her dress whipping and tangling in the wind created by these mighty wings. Rowan leapt the stream, shouting in terror, shouting to Anad to drop to the ground, hide herself in the long grass. But he knew, even as he called, that Anad was hearing and understanding nothing but her own need to escape. With horror, she saw the beast's flat yellow eyes slide to one side and fix themselves on the small, fluttering, running figure, bright pink and gold against the green field. For an instant, the creature hovered around its neck. Rowan caught a glimpse of something as it astonished and bewildered him. Then his mind was wiped, cleared by panic. The creature was turning in the air, wheeling away from the bookshop, and plunging now instead towards Anad, its huge red talons reaching for her. No! Rowan hurled himself forward, raising his arm, shrieking at the beast, trying to distract it, trying to make it turn yet again. But in an instant, it swooped, and then in its great wing beats, with a noise like thunder, it hissed in triumph and speeded away. Its burden was light, and slowed it not at all. In a second, it was a dark spot above the distant hills. It had disappeared in but a minute from sight, and Anad has gone with it. Chapter 2 end. Chapter 2's title, The Attack. I love PC Gen, by the way. Side note. Fuck, I'm so stressed, man. Like, what? This is chapter 2. Give me a fucking break. She's fine. She's having adventure. She's fine, right? Yeah, she's fine. Fucking talons and fucking three-tailed snake bullshit. Fucking wings. Piece of fucking shit. And guess who's gotta fucking tell his parents? God damn it. So how are you guys? You guys doing alright? You guys doing okay? Yep. Yeah, this is happening. This is a children's book, right? It's a young adult book. Yep. I mean, we actually spoke about this earlier. I need a hug. Fucking need a hug. I need a fucking drink. Alright, hold on. So, we spoke about this before. Isn't all writers torturing their lead characters in the second chapter? I mean, look, to be honest, in the second chapter usually is where it starts, like, telling you about what the story is, right? But here's the thing, right? Here's the skinny of it. Every single book in this adventure, so far, has not had a single death. No one has died, right? 7 people went up the mountains to go deal with the dragon, right? And everyone either ran away, got despaired, gave up, whatever. But even Strong John, who was the closest to dying, didn't die in the end. In the second book, with Rowan and the Travelers, there was the sleeping sickness. Everyone fell asleep, and then the trees were going to come up and eat people, right? Like, that was what was going to happen. But no one got eaten. They managed to get there in time and save the town. The third one, right, where we've got 3 candidates filled with assassins and murderers and people who are, like, willing to kill for what they want to do, right? Jilla got poisoned with a drug that would potentially have killed her, right? But again, Rowan came through, stopped that from happening. Like, not even the other candidates died, right? Like one of them was mauled by a bird, another person's hand was eaten apart by what was effectively piranha, right? Like, they got injured, sure, but no one has died, which means 2 things to me. Either A, Anad's fine, because there's no track record of anyone dying in these books. Or 2, that's where it'll happen. This is it. This is the penultimate book. This is the book where they will break the norms because you're expecting bad things to not happen. And the fact is that the first chapter was like, you know, Rowan will wish that he'd blah, 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 blah. And the second chapter was, oh, she's gone now. And it's like, well, yeah. God damn it. I'm good. I'm actually okay. I'm passionate. Emily Rodder, if you ever watch this, you've done well, but also, fuck you, ruining their wedding. Well done. You made me feel things. I hope you're happy. Okay, let's keep going. That could be where it would happen. Create shock, get the readers involved in the story against the Zebak. I was already invested. I'm reading the book. I paid money for this. I would have paid money if they'd still gotten married. Wouldn't have made a difference. Didn't have to take Anad. What had Anad ever done? All she wanted was a dad, goddammit. It's all she wanted. She's probably dead. Could be where. Yeah. Okay. Chapter 3. The Decision. We must go after the beast. Attack it where it lands. We cannot leave the village undefended. It may come again. But Anad, the child is gone. Gone! There's nothing to be done. Huddled on the ground, numb with misery, Rowan heard the voices around him. The familiar voices of Sarah, Old Lan, Marley, Broden. He had clambered to his feet and stared around, dazed. People had come running from the feast tables. Now they clustered together, shocked and bewildered, their festival clothes rumpled, their good shoes sinking into the long, rich grass of the field. There was no sign of the travelers or Prelane. Jilla, all the color drained from her face, was standing very straight. John was close beside her, but she did not lean on him. That was not her way. Old Lan turned to her.
What do you want of us, Jilla of the Field?
She asked formally. Nothing. Jilla spoke through lips which barely moved. There is nothing to be done. Anad is gone. No! The words burst from Rowan before he could stop it. His mother turned to him. Her eyes were black with grief. She's gone, Rowan, she repeated. You saw the creature take her. By now she is dead. Rowan shook his head. We do not know that, he stammered. The beast was not wild, but tame. There was a moment's shocked silence. Then Lan hobbled up to him.
What do you mean?
It was wearing a collar. I saw a metal collar with a fastening for a chain, Rowan said. Lan stared at him. Her face was creased into 1,000 lines that showed her pain. She too had loved little Anad. Rowan took a deep breath. I believe it came from over the sea, he said. He felt the eyes of the villagers upon him, and his mother's eyes most of all. His face burned, but he made himself go on. On the other side of the coast, the keeper of the crystal felt danger come. The travelers, too, felt a strangeness in the land. There was whispering in the crowd. And you, Rowan? Jilla's voice sounded flat and dead. Rowan swallowed. This was the question he had been dreading. He bent his head and forced himself to speak. I felt something. A warning. But I thought there was time. His voice trailed away miserably as he looked up. His mother's face had gone blank. You said nothing of this to me? I felt I could not. I did not wish to spoil this day, Rowan mumbled. Slowly, Jilla nodded, then turned and walked away. Marley hurried after her, but John lingered to put his hand on Rowan's shoulders. His face was furrowed with grief, but his voice was steady. You could not have known, Rowan, he said. Do not blame yourself. Come home with us now. Rowan shook his head. He could not go home. He knew there would be no comfort to his mother. In his heart, she must hate him for what he had done, for what he had not done. John hesitated. Then he squeezed Rowan's shoulder and left him. The crowd moved restlessly. Rowan caught sight of Alan standing to one side, his usual good-humored face now tight and pale. If one has come from across the seas, what is to say there's more to follow? Someone yelled, or someone called. We must arm ourselves and prepare. Tim and the teacher took John's place by Rowan's side.
Rowan, is there anything more you can tell us? He asked urgently.
We need to know. We need to know nothing more, snapped Val the miller, towering shoulder to shoulder with her brother in the center of the crowd. We need to know nothing more, snapped Villa. I don't know who's saying the next line. It doesn't seem to say. It does not say at all. But I'm going to presume it is Alan. Who would tame such a beast to do their will? Who would collar it with metal rather than cloth or leather? Who would send it across the sea to attack us? It is the Zebak. The hated name fell into the crowd like a stone onto a still pond. A low muttering began rippling outwards. The Zebak were defeated in Maris not long ago, Bree of the Gardeners protested. They suffered heavy losses. Why would they try again so soon? It could be that their leaders have at last decided that invasion by sea is too dangerous, Timon said. So they're testing new ways of attacking us from the air. The muttering rose to an angry babble, and many fists were clenched. Only the oldest of the people now living in Rin had battled the Zebaks hand to hand, but all had seen pictures of the cruel Zebak, faces and brows marked with black lines running from their hairline to their nose. All knew their ancestors had first come to this land as Zebak warrior slaves. All were ready to fight for their freedom. As the noise around him increased, Rowan looked over to where Alan was standing. But Alan had gone. Old Lan banged her stick on the rock, and silence fell. We will talk of this more in the morning. No, we will talk of... Let's try again. Old Lan banged her stick on the rock, and silence fell. We will talk more of this, she said firmly. But first we must clear the feasting tables, and take what food remains to the cool houses. Nothing must be wasted. There may be hard times ahead. Rowan stood silently as the crowd melted away to do her bidding. No doubt you did what you thought was best. No, all right, no, this is Broden, all right. No doubt you did what you thought was best, Rowan of the Bookshaw, snorted Broden as she passed. You and your Maris and your traveller friends who, I notice, fled at the first sign of danger. But perhaps another time you'll think better of keeping special knowledge to yourself. She was gone before he could answer. Your people do not understand how it is with you, a quiet voice said in his ear. Rowan turned around to see Pelaine standing beside him. The Maris man was dripping wet. I did not want to intrude on your meeting, he explained, and I was dry, so I soaked in the stream and listened. The man with clever eyes, he spoke wisely, I think. Timon, yes, Rowan murmured. This episode may have only been a test, Pelaine said calmly. But if so, the test has been successful. Soon the Zebak will have proof that their beast has been to Rin and back. Rowan's mouth felt dry as dust. He licked his lips. Do you think it'll deliver Anna to the Zebak alive? He asked finally. His heart began thudding and pounding like the drum of a traveler. Yes, said Pelaine simply. The Zebak have always preferred to take their captives alive. Rowan shuddered in the warm sun, as though a chill had chilled him to the bone. His mind was a whirlwind of shock and grief, but at the center of this whirlwind was one clear thought. Anad was a captive because of him, because he had not sounded a warning when he first sensed danger, because he had let her go to the Bookshaw field alone, because he had been too slow to reach her side when she was snatched away. Pelaine was regarding him thoughtfully. You are very grieved, he said. What can I give you?
what can I give to help you? And suddenly Rowan knew. You can give me a boat, Perlane. I'm returning to Maris with you, and then I'm going to the place of the Zebak to find my sister and bring her home. Perlane shook his head. You cannot do it, my friend. Such a journey would be filled with peril, and at its end you would only join your sister in her fate, without hope of escape. He heard a sound behind him and jumped as he saw Star standing there. Your Buksha wants your attention, he said nervously, moving aside. Rowan rubbed Star's soft nose, taking comfort in her massive woolly strength. She pushed against him and rumbled deep in her throat. Do not mourn, he whispered to her. You did your best to warn Anad away from the fields, and you protected the calves bravely. They were safe inside your circle. Does the creature understand your words? Asked Perlane curiously. She understands what I mean by them, said Rowan. He saw Star's nose twitch, and whirled around to search the sky, but no dark shape loomed there, only bright splashes of yellow against blue. Wait, hold on. But no dark shape loomed there, only bright splash of yellow against the blue. It swooped down lower and lower until the figure of a girl who had swung from the great kite was clear. Zeal! Star huffed gently in Rowan's ear, and turning, he saw Ogden, the storyteller, approaching from across the field. The creature was far distant before we could reach our camp and launch the kite, Ogden called. I fear Zeal lost sight of it. Her signal was of disappointment. Rowan had heard no signal, but he would not have expected to. The traveler reed pipes made sounds too high for others to hear. Zeal's feet touched the ground lightly, the kite billowing behind her, then fell into soft, bright folds. She gathered it up and strode towards them, her hair brown-black from her face. Her straight brow were drawn together, her eyes pale and angry. Rowan felt Perlane stiffen beside him. Rowan, she is not a traveler, the Maris man hissed in his ear. She does not have the black line tattoo on her brow, but she is still a Zebak, and I see it now. His hand moved, feeling for the knife at his belt. Peace, Perlane, Rowan hastily whispered back. Zeal is Zebak born, but she was washed up on the shore by the sea as a tiny child, and Ogden took her in. She can be trusted. She is as much a traveler as any of her people, believe me. Perlane lowered his hand, but remained watchful as Zeal joined them. I am sorry, Rowan of the Buksha. The beast far outpaced me. She turned to Ogden. It was as you thought. It turned and took the most direct way to the coast. It'll be over the cliffs by now. Rowan wet his dry lips. Will you go after it? Zeal asked him, almost casually, throwing the kite silk over her shoulder. He nodded. This is foolish, Perlane said coldly. However brave a fish may be, it is doomed if it ventures into the serpent's lair. It will not just be one fish, snapped Zeal. Rowan will have many companions. The people of Rin are... No. Rowan interrupted hurriedly, feeling his face begin to burn. I will go alone. Zeal looked startled and unbelievingly. Perlane will arrange a boat for me, Rowan rushed on, in case Zeal too should begin to argue. And if the travelers could spare 2 kites, their riders to speed us to Maris, it would save us much time. He saw Perlane open his mouth in alarmed protest, but Ogden was already nodding in agreement. The Tor may go to Maris, he said. Tor and me, Zeal broke in. Ogden smiled slightly. So it is settled. It is madness, snorted Perlane. The seas between here and the lands of Zebak are treacherous, and even if by some miracle
Rowan survives to reach the other shore, what will he do then? Where will he go? No one can know.
Rowan thought about that, and his stomach seemed to turn over. There is someone who might know. How foolish, he thought, meeting Ogden's amused eyes, to be afraid of this when the journey ahead would be so perilous. Not so foolish, smiled Ogden. And Rowan realized with shock that the storyteller had already read his thoughts. But you are wise to face your fear. There are times the meeting may take place. The time the meeting may take will be well spent. He thought for a moment, stroking his chin before looking up. I must leave you. Zeal will accompany you to our camp when you are ready. He bowed and then left. Star nuzzled Rowan's neck, and he stroked her gently. I'm going far away, Star, he said in a low voice. And if I do not return, the people will appoint another keeper of the bookshire. Someone kind, don't you fear. And in the meantime, Mother will see to you, for my sake and for Anad's. Star's small, wise eyes regarded him gravely, as though she understood and was unhappy. Rowan gave her a final pat, and then turned quickly and walked with Zeal, and the silent Pelaine up to the orchard. There they threaded their way through the whispering trees towards the small hut beyond. Rowan did not know what awaited him there. He only knew that if he were to find Anad, he needed help, and the only hope of help lay with Sheba, the witch. The strange pale grass that grew outside the hut was unmarked except for a single set of footprints which led to the door. Your wise woman already has a visitor, Zeal said. A man, I think, who treads fast and lightly, like a traveler but with heavier shoes like those of Rin. Rowan thought that Sheba's visitor might be only one person in Rin apart from Sheba herself, who would let him go his own way without any hindrance. Leaving Zeal and Pelaine, he tiptoed across the grass and crept towards the door of the hut, pressing his ear against it. A loud, cackled laughter rang from inside. He leapt back, shivering, feeling like a 6-year-old again.
Come in, skinny rabbit,
growled Sheba.
I've been waiting for you.
End of chapter 3.
Crimson Rockstar, you bloody legend. G'day, mate. How you doing? Welcome. I'm in a cage of emotions. Stuff is happening. Stuff is cool. Stuff is awesome. This book is awesome. Just to catch you up on super stuff that's happened, our main character, Rowan's mum, was about to get married to Strong John of the Orchard. There was a bad vibe. People were getting like these spider sense tingling things going on. Rowan's little sister, Anad, went to go and see the bookshire, who was behaving kind of strange, and a 3-tailed flying snake swooped down and grabbed her and is pissed off overseas to go and give Anad, this tiny child, to the Zebak, who are like Viking warrior slavers. And Rowan is now talking to his friends and trying to plan to go and mount a rescue mission. It's been emotional, and we are only on chapter 4. Been surviving. As for goals, moving out's a big one. Nice. Seeing where another voice job got proposed legal. Nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's so exciting. Yay. I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll be back. I'm gonna go get a drink. I shall return. You and you. Yeah, if you have any questions about this chapter, let us know. Like I said, I just need a and then drink, and then I'll be good. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, my knees. Okay. Oh. Hi, Cowface. Welcome in. I'm emotional. I'm an emotional DAG. DAG motions. Feeling good though. It's good. I'm enjoying myself. There's a lot that's going on. I don't know if I like it. I like it. I don't know. I don't approve of it. Hey, that's really cool, Crimson. I think New Year's is always a great time to start looking at doing exciting, fun things. Like, like learning new skills. 100%. Okay. Let's keep reading. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if I like read through this whole book today, because I'm just like so freaking. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I'm like, I mean, that was uncool. Stealing Anna. That's not on. They took a child. Goddammit. Took the little girl. She didn't do anything. Honestly, though, I think I preferred Anna getting stolen by the giant dragon thing than Star or one of the cabs. I thought it was going to be the calf, to be honest. I thought it was going to be the black calf that they were talking about, that was going to be grabbed, but it didn't. Okay, let's find out what help Sheba can be. She's been helpful in all the books, I think. Okay. Here we go. It is an absolutely great sign. Okay, here we go. What do you mean redeemed wandering NPC? Why are you redeeming wandering? Don't redeem wandering NPC. Wait, did someone actually redeem that? 'Cause I'm gonna have to refund it. I'm watching you. Watching you, miscreants. Okay, alright. Chapter 4. The Gift. Rowan entered the hut, straining his eyes to see in the gloom, choking a little at the thick smell of smoke and ash, dust and bitter herbs that filled the room. Sheba sat with her back to the door. She was holding her hand out to the fire, rubbing them as if to wash them in the dull red glow. On the other side of the fireplace stood her visitor. As Rowan had hoped, it was Alan. His face was pale with anger.
The entertainment here has been poor, Sheba rasped without turning around. This half-traveler clown has not amused me with his whining tale. A brat lost through her own foolishness and her brother's weakness. Pah! Oh, and now he has grown silent, skulking like a child himself. You will provide better sport, skinny rabbit. She chuckled to herself and spread her long bony fingers, admiring the long yellow nails that curved like the tips of a claw. Rowan struggled to keep calm. Though her words hurt and angered him, he knew that it was part of Sheba's game, to find her visitor's weakest points and prod at them. She liked to watch them first writhe, then give way to fear or fury.
It seems that your tricks do not work with everyone, old woman, jeered Alan. The boy is too strong for you.
Oh, Alan, be still.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Alan, be still, Rowan thought desperately. You do not understand how spiteful she is. But he did not dare say a word.
Leave me, Alan the baker,
hissed Sheba.
I'm sick of your foolish face.
I have also seen enough of yours, answered Alan with a grim smile. But I choose not to leave my friend Rowan alone with you. Sheba sneered at him and turned in her chair to face Rowan.
So we are to have a gathering,
she said, baring her long brown teeth in a horrible grin.
Your companions who lurk outside must join us then. I fancy to see them face to face.
All right. Really quickly, I'd like to give a quick shout out and thank you to Turkey Sloth. Nice to see you. Don't often catch your streams because of the time difference, but it's nice to catch when I do. It's awesome to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. And even if you watch while I'm not here in person, I want you to take a moment to now know that I truly appreciate you watching my shows, and I value all of the time that you've donated to seeing the silly stuff that I do. It's greatly appreciated. Much, much, much love. And thank you so much for the resub. Wait, are you reading Viva La Dirt League? No, I'm not. No, I'm not reading Viva La Dirt League. Although, I mean, if Rob ever transcribed it, maybe I could. But no. I am reading Rowan of Rin. Now, we have a first-time chatter here. Da Crazy Willie. At least it's saying you are, but I feel like I've seen that name before. But let me cut to the short of it. Rowan, our hero, is kind of like a shy person who keeps the fields where Bookshaw, these kind of yak-like creatures, tend to roam. During the wedding of his mother and another man who they kind of know and love, Anad, Rowan's sister, was grabbed by a creature, a winged beast with like multiple tails and a forked tongue. It's like a kind of horrible spiky dragon type thing. Swooped down, grabbed his young sister, and flew off. It is known that it is suspected that this creature is working for the Zebak, a race of people who used to enslave Rowan's family and Rowan's people. And Rowan is now mounting, or at least I suppose preparing to go on a journey to rescue his younger sister. It's been a wild ride. Right now he is going and speaking with Sheba the witch in order to see if she can help try and find Anad some way or another. But, right now she's just doing the whole evil witch thing. So there you go. If you have any questions, please do ask. We do absolutely love to, interact and stuff. If I don't pause, it's because we usually pause between chapters, unless I feel the mood. So yeah, if you have questions or if you want people to clarify, throw it in chat. Okay. So let's go with that line again, shall we? Sheba sneered at him and turned in her chair to face Rowan.
So we are to have a gathering, she said,
baring her brown teeth in a horrible grin.
Well, your companions who lurk outside must come and join us then. I fancy to see them face to face.
Rowan hesitated. Sheba's grin disappeared.
Fetch them,
she thundered. Rowan went back outside and beckoned to Zeal and Perlane. She wants you, and I'm sure she will not speak to me unless you come, he whispered to them. But once you're inside, say nothing. Do not be tempted to...
Wise advice,
croaked Sheba's voice from inside the hut.
Do not be tempted to match your wits with me. Show yourself.
Zeal, the forerunner of the travelers, brow drawn together in a frown, and Perlane, the man of Maris, the aquatic people who live on the coast, expressionless as only a Maris could be, follow Rowan into the dim little room.
Ah, now the gathering is complete, said Sheba, looking at her new visitors up and down. I had a half-breed clown and a Rin weakling turned hero. Now to join them, a fishman out of water, and a Zebak pretending to be a traveler. What a fine collection of oddities.
She laughed heartily, slapping at her knees so that dust and ash flew thick in the air around her chair. Rowan heard Zeal draw a quick breath of anger, and saw Perlane glance at her, but then veil his eyes. But both kept silent. Alan, unfortunately, could not. You are forgetting to include yourself, good lady, he said loudly. You are the greatest oddity of all. Sheba abruptly stopped laughing.
I forget nothing, clown, she growled warningly, and you would be wise to remember it.
There was a short, unpleasant silence. Then Sheba turned once again to Rowan.
Now, what gift have you brought for old Sheba, Rowan of the Bookshaw?
She croaked.
What do you have to trade for the knowledge you seek? The knowledge only I can give you. Come closer.
She smiled horribly. Beware, Rowan, muttered Alan. She spits like a cat, but more unpleasantly. Rowan moved further into the room, his heart sinking. He had completely forgotten that Sheba would expect a gift. Alan had brought her honey cakes, sweet buns, and a bowl of fruit from the abandoned feast. Rowan could see them in a basket by her chair. Desperately, he felt his pockets, hoping to find something, anything he could offer. She watched him in silence and waiting. I am sorry, he said at last. I have nothing to trade just now, but what I ask is very important. I beg you to help me. If you do, I will make sure you are repaid.
So,
Grinned Sheba, her eyes shining red in the firelight.
You will make sure, will you? And how, my little hero, do you intend to do that when you are in chains in the land of the Zebak?
Rowan heard Alan's muffled gasp behind him. He did not turn to look, or at Pelaine or Zeal, who were standing by the door. He concentrated all of his will on Sheba. I will write a note asking my mother to make good my promise, he said, and she will do it.
And will you give me whatever I ask?
Demanded Sheba. Rowan thought quickly. He knew she was trying to trap him. I will give you what you ask for if it is within my power to give, he said at last. And if the giving hurts no other person. He watched Sheba closely, but the old woman showed neither disappointment nor triumph. She just nodded.
Right then, she said. The pen is beside you.
Rowan looked and saw a pen, some ink, and sheets of paper lying on a small table at Sheba's elbow, realizing at once that she had planned this from the beginning. He knelt beside the table and picked up the pen with a feeling of dread. Rowan, do not trust her, Pelaine warned. Sheba darted him a black look.
Silence, fishman, she ordered.
But Rowan had put the pen down. Before I write, give me the help you promised, Sheba, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She grinned at him.
You've grown crafty and bold, skinny rabbit. Crafty like your fishy friend, and bold like the pale-eyed Zebak girl. But what is to stop you running away once I have given what I have to give, and told what I have to tell?
Rowan kept silent and looked down at the paper. He felt Sheba's eyes burning into his head, but didn't look up. He knew that if he did, he would not be able to hold firm. A long minute passed. Then Rowan heard a sigh and a rustling sound, as though the old woman was moving in her chair.
Very well,
Sheba said. Rowan looked up and saw that she was holding something out to him. It was a small, thin package wrapped in oiled cloth and tied with a cord of faded plaited silk. He took it, and his heart thudded with excitement. The wrapped cloth was thick and smelt strongly of fire, ash, and bitter herbs. He could not guess what might be inside. He began to pull at the cords, but the knots would not loosen.
Only when you reach the lands you seek will it open, muttered Sheba. Its contents are for use when you really need them, when you have no hope. Till then, keep it well, for it is precious.
Rowan slipped the package inside of his shirt, his fingers trembling.
There, I have given what I have to give, Sheba said sullenly. What I have to tell will be told after you have done your part. Now write.
Rowan dipped the pen in ink and wrote. Mother, I owe the wise woman Sheba a debt. She is to have... He stopped and looked up, the pen poised over the paper. Sheba's eyes were gleaming. Her hands rubbed together, making a dry, rasping sound. What is it you want? Rowan whispered.
My price is small, said Sheba. It is the black calf born to the Bookshire herd in the spring.
Rowan went cold. The Bookshire were loving and took comfort in each other's company. The thought of the little black calf being made to spend its life here alone, away from the open fields and away from its mother and friends, was heartbreaking. The calf is too young to leave its mother, he stammered. A slow grin spread over Sheba's face once more.
I will wait for a while as it happens. I will be much occupied with no time for it.
Why do you want it? Rowan managed to ask.
Because it takes my fancy.
Sheba swung around to face him, her grin broadening.
Because it is an oddity. Apart from the herd. Like me.
She leans forward, her greasy hair swinging over her face.
Like your friends here. And like you, Rowan of the Bookshire.
The words struck the most tender places in Rowan's mind and clung there like stinging fiery sparks. He looked down again at the pen.
Perhaps you care more for the beast's freedom than you do your sister's, sneered Sheba. If so, give me back my gift and stop wasting my time.
Rowan knew he had to do what she asked. He wrote with a heavy heart, then stood up and held out the note. Sheba snatched it and studied it carefully with narrow eyes, then nodded, satisfied.
Good,
she said, folding the paper, stuffing it under the cushion of her chair.
So, the time has come.
She turned to Pelaine, Alan, and Zeal.
Leave us,
she said abruptly. I'm comfortable here, thank you. Alan smiled. Sheba's eyes glittered red. Please go, Rowan begged. Zeal and Pelaine exchanged glances. Zeal nodded and took Alan's arm and tugged at it. Pelaine pushed through the door, and together, he and Zeal managed to persuade Alan outside. The door closed behind them, and the latch fell with a click. The room seemed empty now, as Rowan stood beside Sheba, feeling very alone. All right, end of the chapter. Whew. All right, lots of tension, lots of stuff. The black calf, what does it mean? Is it, I don't know, is it important? I mean, it's a calf, right? So obviously there's that feeling of like, you don't want the evil witch to have like the young calf. But like, I mean, maybe it's not going to be too bad. Maybe it's not going to be a terrible thing. Like, maybe she's going to be really nice to it. I mean, just because she's a witch who cackles and makes fun of people doesn't necessarily mean, like, that she's going to be evil to it. You don't like the witch? Yeah. Yeah, she's not a likable person. She's been, like, just insane and mean and freaking horrible the whole time. Can't leave the screen, nor look away from the screen. Can't leave the desk, nor look away from the screen. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Hester. I'm thoroughly enjoying this as well. I'm so invested. The next bit is obviously the iconic piece of this, and that is the rhyme. Every single one of these books has had the rhyme, which is the puzzle that needs to be solved for the main quest. Damn, am I the only one that's madly falling in love with the witch? Look, I think there's more to the witch. I feel like I'm feeling some mad tsundere energy, you know what I mean? Like, I think that she's meaner on the outside. Like, she's prickly, right? Mean on the outside, but inside, she's always helped out. She's always come through. She hasn't lied. She hasn't cheated. You know, like, I agree with you, Dark Mundius. Like, I feel as though the witch, I like the witch. I think the witch is a good person, deep down. I think she just doesn't like people, you know. I feel like I could become Shiva one day. Oh, I feel like at some point or another we all end up as Shiva one day, like just done with this shit and just being like, yeah, we'll do that. Give me some anti-hero vibes. Yeah, absolutely. And I love anti-heroes. Anti-heroes are like my all-time favorite archetype of any kind of hero.
Anti-heroes are, for me, like some of the most complex and fun characters to play in any D&D game. Most of my characters, actually, I think most of my characters end up with some anti-hero traits because they're cool. They are. They're like the best. Oh, okay. Let's continue, shall we? Chapter 5, The Rhyme. Taking no notice of Rowan, Sheba bent and picked up a handful of tiny sticks from a box beside her chair and threw them into the fire. They blazed up instantly, red and green flames dancing on the blackened wood. Misshapen shadows leapt like evil spirits about the room. Rowan's skin began to prickle with fear.
Hold out your hand,
Sheba ordered suddenly. Hesitantly, Rowan stretched out his right hand, and the old woman seized his wrist. She gripped it tightly, and her pointed nails began digging into his flesh. He took a sharp breath and looked up. His eyes were caught and held by hers. They were strangely mocking and deep. So deep that he could not look away.
Now we will see which of us is stronger,
Sheba droned in an altered voice, her eyes growing deeper still, drawing him in. It was as though he was falling into them, plunging down, down, down. Then dimly, as if from far away, he heard Sheba's cackling. He struggled, blinked, and the spell was broken. She was laughing in his face, still gripping his wrist.
So,
She grinned with an astonishing strength, dragging his hand towards the fire. The flames flicked high and licked at Rowan's fingers like greedy tongues, scorching and burning. With a cry, he struggled to pull away, but Sheba's grip was hard as stone. She was no longer listening to him. His head was flung back, her eyes were closed, and she mumbled to herself, swaying slightly from side to side. The fire burned higher and higher. She began to speak, and the words came to Rowan through the haze of searing pain. 5 strange fingers form fate's hand. Each plays its part at fate's command. Sorry, let me try that again. Get the voice right.
5 strange fingers form fate's hand. Each play its part at fate's command. The fiery blaze the answer keeps. Until it is time, each secret sleeps. When pain is truth and truth is pain, the painted shadows live again. 5 leaves, but 5 do not return. Vain hope and pride in terror burn.
Shit. That is grim. To read that out in common English. 5 strange fingers form fate's hand, each play its part at fate's command. The fiery blaze the answer keeps, until its time each secret sleeps. When pain is truth and truth is pain, the painted shadows live again. 5 leaves, but 5 do not return. Vain hope and pride in terror burn. Interesting. Okay. Sheba's eyes opened, and Rowan felt her grip loosen. He wrenched himself away from her and stumbled back from the fire, cradling his injured hand against his chest, sobbing with pain and shock. He could hear banging on the door and Alan and Zeal shouting, but the door was sealed against them. Sheba was lying back on her chair, as if exhausted, but still she found the strength to laugh.
Oh, my little hero, she jeered. Did you not like old Sheba's lesson? Here's another.
The pain rose in great waves, unbearable, and then suddenly it disappeared, as if it had never been. Bewildered and shaking, Rowan looked down, and instead of being burned and blistered as he expected, his hand was smooth and unmarked. He stared at it, astounded.
Not all is as it seems,
croaked Sheba.
Now, be off with you before your foolish friends injure themselves by beating at my door.
Rowan felt anger rise in him. It burned in his chest, searing hot like the fire had burnt his hands. He fought it down with all of his strength. Alan, Zeal, he shouted towards the door. Wait!
The banging stopped, and he faced Sheba once more. "You have not yet told me what I need to know," he said, and wondered at the calmness of his voice. She shrugged.
"I have told you what I can, which is all I promised. You have the words. Remember them."
"They are not enough," Rowan exclaimed. You have not told me where I must go in the land of the Zebak, and what I must do to save Anad."
"How could I tell you that, Rowan of the Bookshire?"
Sheba yawned.
"Who could I know? The land of the Zebak is far away. Too far. Even for me."
Her eyes closed. "But you did not tell me this before!" Angry tears stung Rowan's eyes. He dashed away furiously. Sheba's thin mouth curved into a smile.
"You did not ask," she murmured.
"You tricked me." She started towards her, his hands reaching out to shake her, make her speak to him further, but the fire blazed up with a fierce crackling as he took his first step, and his right hand began to sting and burn. He jumped backwards, cradling his hand as the pain rose to an agonizing peak before fading away. He did not dare approach Sheba again. He stood, helpless in the center of the room, staring at her with loathing. She lay motionless in the chair, breathing deeply. She was asleep, and he knew she would not awaken. When Rowan stepped outside the hut, he was first amazed, then horrified to see that it was nearly dark. He looked wildly around, hardly able to believe his eyes. The sun had been high in the sky when he first crossed the clearing to listen at Sheba's door. How could so much time have passed? Then he remembered the flickering red and green, Sheba's fingers tightening on his wrist, and her eyes deep and mockingly. The clearing was deserted. He jumped as two shadows moved from under the orchid tree and realized that it was only Alan and Zeal coming to meet him. "What did the witch do to you?" Zeal demanded furiously. Alan's face was drawn. You were in that hut for so long, and we heard you cry out in pain, great pain." It was nothing," said Rowan, but before he could stop himself from shuddering at the memory of what had happened. "It was because I teased her that she turned on you," muttered Alan. "Because I couldn't keep my idiot tongue safely behind my teeth." Rowan shook his head. "No, it is not your fault. She tormented you, angered you, to make you do it. I should not have stayed. She tricked me, enchanted me, to make me stay for far longer than I intended. And then she told me little. And what she told me, I'd rather not have known," he thought. "Well, go on, tell us then," Alan urged. Reluctantly, Rowan repeated the rhyme. With every word, his hand throbbed with the remembered pain. Alan and Zeal listened intently, but when Rowan's voice trailed off, they looked at each other in bewilderment. "All this talk of fire and burning is not pleasant," said Alan. "And these painted shadows that are going to live again, what are they?" I don't know," Rowan sighed. "I don't know any of it." He rubbed his eyes, trying to clear his mind. Then suddenly he realized someone was missing. "Where is Pelaine?" he asked urgently. We must go." "Oh, Pelaine left for Maris with Tor long ago," he said. Said Alan. He smiled tiredly and held up his hand as Rowan's eyes filled with panic. No, do not fear, he has not abandoned you." "Ogden was here, waiting for us when we came out of the hut," Zeal explained. "He said that he believed that you would be with Sheba for some time, and Pelaine should not wait." Rowan shook his head desperately. Zeal touched his shoulders with cool fingers, calming him. "Ogden's plan will save much time," she told him. "And I am to take you directly to the coast from here, following the way the creature flew. Meanwhile, Pelaine will be bringing the boat from Maris." But the cliffs, the rocks," exclaimed Rowan, confused. "Maris is the only safe landing place on the coast. That is why the Zebak have never come." "All of that has been thought of, Rowan. said Alan gently. Ogden has power over the wind, remember? Pelane's boat will wait out at sea, in the calmer waters. Zeal and Mithrin, who has been with the white kite, will fly us there from land. Rowan nodded, taking this in. Much had happened, it seemed, while he was with Sheba. His friends had been thinking and planning for him. He blinked, suddenly focusing on something Alan had said. Us? He exclaimed. Alan, you said fly us. Oh, yes, said Alan carelessly. I'm curious to see what's inside Sheba's little package. Sadly, it cannot be opened until you reach the land of the Zebak, so I've decided I simply must go with you. Ah, look at Alan. Bloody Alan. Bloody champion he is. Oh, I love him. He's great. End of chapter 5. Oh, so good. Okay, so we're on our way. We've got the rhyme. We've got the things. So, from what I understand, Tom, was that his name? Tor and Pelane have gone to the coast to secure a boat to cross the ocean to get to the land of the Zebak. Zeal and whatever her name was, Mithrin, have waited here to take Alan and Rowan to the coast to meet up with Pelane. Which means we have Alan, Pelane, Zeal, Rowan. But who's the fifth? Who's the fifth person? Alan, Pelane, Zeal, Rowan. Because the rhyme said, 5 strange fingers form fate's hand. So who's the fifth? You reckon they'll meet someone when they're back at Maris, maybe? Maybe no, because they can't take someone from Rin. So it could be Mithrin, the other kite bearer, or Tor. Could be one of them. But I mean, you wouldn't have the Forerunners leave the Travelers. You know what I mean? Like they need them to scout, right? So you wouldn't send all 3 of their scouts to leave. But if it was it was someone from Maris, who would it be? Unless they meet someone in the land of the Zebak. They make a new friend. That'd be my only thought. I'm going to put it down right now. Let's lock it in. Boom. They're going to go to the land of the Zebak. They're going to meet a new friend. New friend in Zebak land. That's what I'm guessing. All right. Chapter 6. Into the dark. All the way to the traveler's camp. Oh, it's a long journey. One more could join later. Yeah. Good call. I think that's it. All the way to the traveler's camp, Rowan tried to persuade Alan to change his mind. But Alan would not listen. He swung along, laughing and joking, as though he was really happy to go on this terrible danger, just to find out what was in Sheba's package. I've inherited my father's traveler curiosity, Rowan, he said. Travelers feel they must know everything, and as half-travelers, I'm no different. What's more is I cannot resist a chance to soar in the wind with a kite again. He laughed slyly. Pelane felt differently, he said. I can't understand it. Oh, sorry, no. I cannot understand it, I said to him. There's nothing I love. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, this is still Alan. Let me try again. I can't understand it. I said to him, there's nothing I love better than flying, but he was green and shaking at the very thought. Zeal strode beside him, saying nothing. Finally, when they reached the camp and were moving towards where Ogden had been waiting for them, she spoke. Do you want company on this quest, Rowan of the Bookshire? She asked bluntly. Did the witch tell you that you must go to the land of the Zebak alone if you are to succeed? Rowan swallowed and looked down at his feet. No, he said reluctantly. But it was my fault that my sister was lost. To find her is my idea, an idea that all in Rin will think is folly. I do not wish any other person to be in danger because of me. Zeal nodded and stopped. She turned to Alan. So, she said,
Stop your foolishness, stop hiding your softness like a snail hiding in its shell, and explain the real reason for going on this quest. Alan's smile easily wavered, then disappeared, leaving his lean face sad and serious. I will not be in danger because of you, Rowan, he said quietly. I always intended to go after the beast. Why do you imagine I visited Sheba's hut? For the very same reason you did. To try and gain advice on guidance for this journey. He saw Rowan stare in amazement and shrugged. I was only partially joking about the traveler's need to know. I'll have it strongly, but in me it joins with the Rin and its love of home and safe settled lives. I can't simply wait here preparing to defend the valley. I must know what the Zebak are planning. How can we raise children if we're always in fear that they will be snatched away from us? Come on. Ogden's waiting. He began to walk yet again, moving very quickly towards the place where Ogden stood. Mithrin was there too. Rowan noticed now his white kite was over his shoulder. He was ready. With Zeal by his side, Rowan hurried after Alan. He is thinking of his own children, Zeal murmured. The children he will have one day if he marries Marley the Weaver. Rowan nodded slowly, shocked, guilt, and grieved. Focused on Anad, he had not thought of the future. But now he saw that Alan was right. After this day, the Rin Valley could no longer be thought of as a safe, protected place. The arcing sky itself was now an open gate through which, at any time, terror might come. They flew into the dark, sped by the winds that Ogden had summoned, and it seemed to Rowan as the light of Rin's winked and faded beneath him, that the dark was swallowing them up. He had left carrying nothing but Sheba's small package, the burning memory of her words and a bitter knowledge of the price he had paid for them. The only farewell he had given was to Star. The only word he had left for his mother was a scribbled note, which Ogden had promised to deliver. It was as though he had cut himself adrift from everything he knew and loved, and was lost in a rushing black sea that had no end. Every now and then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of a glimmer of white. He knew that was the traveler Mithrin's kite, and that Alan was flying with it, bound to Mithrin by a cord of silk, as Rowan was bound to Zeal. But Mithrin and Alan were hidden by the dark. Only the kite's sail, wheeling and dipping in and out of view, was proof that Rowan and Zeal were not alone. They flew for hours, and Rowan could only trust that Zeal knew where they were and was steering in the right direction. The stars were guiding her. He knew that. But to him, the stars were just chilly white points in the sky, and all of them looked the same. He found himself drifting to sleep. And when waking with a start, each time he woke, he thought for an instant that he'd been living in a nightmare, and now he was safe in his bed at home. But then would open his eyes to the blackened sky, feel the cool wind beating against his face, and realize this was no dream. Finally, confused and fearful, he would remember Sheba's words. He tried not to think of them, but could not forget them. They seemed to flame red in his mind, colored by the memory of the burning pain. 5 strange fingers form fate's hand. Each plays its part at fate's command. The fiery blaze the answer keeps, until its time each secret sleeps. When pain is truth and truth is pain, the painted shadow live again. 5 leave, but 5 do not return. Vain hope and pride in terror burn. What could the rhyme mean? He knew from experience Sheba's prophecies were to be taken seriously, however mysterious they seem. But this? 5 strange fingers. Rowan, we are passing the coast, Zeal shouted above the wind. Look down. Rowan looked and saw. He saw the stillness and the blackness of the earth disappear, and the moving blackness of the water take its place. He saw white foam flying upwards as dark waters dash against even darker cliffs. Here, in this place he had never seen before, his lands ended and strangeness began. Now they were leaving the cliffs behind and flying overseas. At first the water below them boiled and frothed around a huge hidden rocks, surging angrily in many different directions.
Gradually, though, it deepened and calmed as they flew farther out of sight of land. And only then did Rowan feel a pang of fear. Soon, surely, Ogden's power over the wind would falter. If the wind was to drop, the kite was to fall. He and Zeal would plunge together into that dark, mysterious water where serpents coiled, hunting for prey, tied together, the silk of the kite twisting and swirling around them. How would it keep them afloat? He was a weak swimmer in any case. His stomach tightened as he remembered. Travelers don't swim at all. That was why Alan! Rowan realized that he had not seen the white glimmer of Mithrin's kite since they crossed the coastline. In a panic, he twisted left and right in desperate search of the darkness. The kite slowed and swayed. "Rowan, they are safe behind us. Just be still," Zeal shouted, her voice thin and torn by the wind. "There, look ahead." She shifted her weight and steadied the kite and steered onwards towards the tiny light that her sharp eyes had seen long ago. And even now, Rowan saw for the very first time the light of Pelane's boat riding the dark seas waiting for them. I just want to take a moment here. This is terrifying, first of all, because one, I hate the idea of heights. The idea of being in heights, in the dark, not only that, but like leaving land and going out to the open sea on a kite. That takes some brass ones. I will give full props to the Forerunners, to Rowan, to everything that is happening, because I would never do that. That is nuts. That's insane. Holy hell. Just everything about that sounded awful and terrifying. Alone, Zeal would have settled on the boat's rocking deck as easily and lightly as she would have landed on the grassy fields. But Rowan, stiff and clumsy from the long flight, stumbled as his feet touched the smooth boards. He fell heavily, dragging Zeal down with him. "I'm sorry," he stammered as he tried to rise. He found his legs would not support him, and he fell back. The boat tilted and rolled. Pelaine, sure-footed, padded towards them. He crouched down to steady Rowan as Zeal unclipped the ties that bound them together. Zeal laughed as she finally stood up, gathering the folds of her yellow kite behind her and tossing them over her shoulder. She looked up into the blackness of the sky, her eyes shining with excitement. "Back," she ordered. "Mithrin's coming with Alan. Give him room." With Pelaine's help, Rowan scrambled awkwardly away from the landing place. Finally reaching the mast of the boat, he clung to it gratefully, and at last hauled himself to his feet. He heard Zeal give another shout and quickly turned to look. She was standing in the middle of the deck, staring upwards, the white sail of Mithrin's kite hovering high above, hardly moving. Rowan caught his breath. What was wrong? "Why is Mithrin not landing?" he asked Pelaine anxiously. "Why?" At that moment there was a call from the kite. Zeal raised her arms, and with shock Rowan saw a body falling from below the white sails. Well, not falling, but drifting downwards through the dark. He watched open-mouthed as the figure sank further and further, and at last moved into the light that streamed upward from the boat. It was Alan, white-faced but determined, suspended on a thin cord, swinging from it like a spider on a strand of silk. Zeal was waiting for him, arms still upraised. She caught him around the waist, and as soon as he was within reach, held him fast. "It is well," she called up, looking at the hovering kite. Immediately, the tightly stretched cord slackened from far above as Mithrin cut it free. It dropped lightly to the deck, and Zeal staggered as she took Alan's full weight. He slipped from her grasp and fell, stumbling, rolling as Rowan had done, as soon as his feet had touched the board. Pelaine rushed to help him, but Zeal paid no attention. She was still looking up. "Mithrin, I will see you again," she shouted, waving. "And I will see you again, Zeal," came the faint answering cry. The white sail billowed, dipped again, and began to move away, turning in a great circle and then speeding off into the darkness. Still clinging to the mast, Rowan stared at Zeal, his eyes full of questions. She returned his gaze without speaking. "Does Mithrin not wish to rest here before returning?" he asked. She shook her head. He must get back with the circle, within the circle of Ogden's power as soon as he can. The wind out here is changeable and dangerous. But you, what of you? Demanded Rowan. He turned to Pelaine, standing silently behind him. And what of Pelaine? We are where we want to be, said Pelaine quietly. We've decided that this quest is not yours or Alan's alone, Zeal added. It is ours also. We're coming with you. Rowan's heart gave a great leap. Alan smiled brightly, though his face was still pale as death. Collections of oddities we may be, he said, but it seems that fate has decided we are to do this work. 5 strange fingers form fate's hand. Rowan made a small sound and clutched his right hand, as it was throbbing and burning, as the words echoed in his mind. Zeal glanced at him and lifted her chin. Fate has decided nothing. We have decided it for ourselves, and we are 4, not 5. Do not fear, Rowan. The rhyme cannot mean us. Unless... Rowan wets his lips. There is another. The boat rocked dangerously, and he clung to the mast to stop himself from falling. The tide is turning, he heard Pelaine's flat voice say, and the wind is rising. We must pull up sails to move from here. Even now we could be swept into shore and smashed onto the rocks. There is no time to lose. End of chapter 6. All right. There we go. That is the end of the chapter. What do we think? I mean, it's a very Fellowship of the Ring kind of vibe, isn't it? Like, it feels like this is like, yes, we are here. We've done the thing. We are now a team. It feels good, I think, to know that he's not going it alone and stuff like that. I think that each of them will have a secret. I think each of them will have something that needs to be uncovered or revealed or spoken about. And I think that is what's going to break each of them. Like, it could be that Pelaine is a Zebak spy, maybe. Or that Alan is, I don't know, is Anad's father, because she has golden hair and Alan's got golden hair. But as last I checked, Jiller has brown hair and Rowan has brown hair. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, secrets abound. That's where my head's at. I'm hoping that that they all live. Because like I said, this book is the book. If anyone's going to die, it'll be on this book. That's kind of what my thing is. Hey, Hester, thank you so much for the $5 donation. It's greatly appreciated. Your donation, of course, going towards our trip to the US and the cosplay stuff. So thank you very much. So appreciated. Mwah. Oh, I'm drained, guys. Like, that exhausted me. Actually really surprised. I'm like so ready for bed. Zebak is using their secrets against him. Oh, maybe. Yeah, that could be a thing as well. Could be definitely a thing. I think we were on the money. I think they are gonna be joined by someone else. I don't like the idea that 5 do not return. I'm hoping that when it says 5 do not return, it's going to be like, oh, that's because 6 people return, because they'll have Anad. I don't know. That's wishful thinking, I feel. Alright, well, I am done for the night, but thank you so much, everyone, for coming and joining us today. I hope you had a wonderful time. I know that I did. It was truly an absolute pleasure to always get to play with you guys and you know, like, chat and hang out. Maybe 6 or 10. Yeah, exactly. The lag. Yes, no, the lag is the thing. But you know what? I still count it, so don't worry. I just so you know, I always count them as being said at the same time. All right, let's go raid someone. Who's doing stuff? Hey, the Paladins Archive is doing their last run of their massive marathon. I got to play on their channel for a little while.
So let's go raid these guys and wish them a very, very happy end of stream. Maybe the last person will be the wounded Zebak. Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe that'd be kind of cool. I do like that storyline. Like that like they do like try to like redeem or like learn more about the Zebak culture, because there has to be more culture to them, given the writing style. There has to be more to them than they're just violent and they kill people. I reckon that's gonna give us a lot of insight. So, yep. All right, let's go raid, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name's Mike. I'm the DAG Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. You can find me playing D&D and TTRPGs all the time here. We are going to be back in like 10 hours, I want to say, something like that, when we kick off for Curse of the Crimson Throne. So we will see you guys there. If not, please stay safe. Please stay wonderful. And always, from me to you, game hard or die trying. Good night, folks.